let's get into Hunter Biden plea deal. Now, this is the reaction to CNN, like real time. Vaguely remember parts of this clip, and at the time, it was like something's going on with the deal. They were saying something about what the two sides were arguing before anything had happened. It was like, man, something's going on. And then they broke into this. But let's listen.
Breaking news out of Wilmington, Delaware from the Hunter Biden plea deal hearing. Our Kara Scannell just ran out from inside the courtroom. Kara, bring us up to speed.
Yeah, John. So as I went back into the courtroom, the hearing had just begun again. The judge was back on the bench, and she was pressing the prosecution on this investigation and the four corners of this plea agreement. One of the prosecutors said that the investigation was very much ongoing, and that she asked him, well, what is not covered in this plea agreement if you were leaving the possibility for there being other future charges? So then the judge said, would this include a possible FARA charge that's not registering as a foreign agent? The prosecutor said, no, the deal would not include that. It was at that point that she had said to the prosecution, if you can charge that, then what does this mean? And the prosecutors, actually, she asked Hunter Biden's attorneys about that, and he said, well, then there's no deal. And the prosecutor said, then there is no deal. So Biden's team said that the plea agreement, as far as they understood it, was now null and void. They were moving ahead to talk about what the next steps would be in this case. So as of right now, the deal appears to be dead and off the table. And it remains to be seen how they're going to move forward. But he has been charged with those two misdemeanor tax evasion charges. But one thing we learned is that this investigation is very much still ongoing.
It was panic.
No,
it was panic. Go ahead.
It's not only panic. It's just like, oh, one of these social elite, the laws of the land are finally applying to you. Welcome to what the rest of us have to deal with, Hunter. Welcome to the party, pal. I hope you enjoy the fun little panic attacks that you're going to be getting that normal people have to go through. Again, CNN's shocked. The royalty has to deal with the peasants now. The royalty could be put into danger. And it's like, yeah, you guys got to get over yourselves, because this is what normal people go through all the time. What, Hunter Biden is special? No, he's not special. He's just a rich kid who's been protected by mommy and daddy for far too long. All right. So, I mean, Hunter in trouble? Well, he did it to himself. No one held a gun to his head. He was the person who brought all of this on himself. He's the one who chose to put his entire livelihood in jeopardy and also bring everyone down with him. That was his choice. His alone, not mine, not yours. And what? I need to have sympathy for him? I got enough problems as it is. CJ, you got enough problems as it is. Everyone watching has enough problems as it is. So what? Worry about Hunter? No, hey, finally, I want to call this segment, It's Funny When It Happens to Them.
All right, so here, where am I? This is he did the reporting. Now this is kind of like he pivots to the panel, and now they discuss it. So this is the same segment, different clip.
Someone made a bad mistake here. Am I wrong looking at this, saying that these someone, whether it be Hunter Biden's defense or prosecutors here,
how could there be such a big miscommunication? I cannot even begin to explain how the Justice Department walks into that courtroom without knowing exactly what the scope of immunity or coverage is for Hunter Biden. And equally, I cannot even begin to understand how Hunter Biden's lawyers walk him into that courthouse without knowing exactly what the constraints, what the limitations of that deal are.
Someone made a bad...
Now, we all have a theory, and I'm going to play a video from a guy. Go ahead if you were going to say something.
Oh, no. I'm just like, well, his lawyer screwed up, as did Hunter. But the thing is, Hunter did this all to himself. He did this to himself. And you know what? It's once again another thing that's going to bring down the Biden-Harris administration. Honestly, anyone that's running for 2024, I'll even throw in the Democratic contenders, RFK and Marianne. Go for the jugular, because if no one goes for the jugular, I'm really going to question, how much do you want to win? Mm-hmm. How much do you want to win? Because this is right here. It's politics 101. You never let up. You got to bite down, clamp down, and fight. And the only person I see really actually going for blood, it would have to be Trump. And again, I'm not voting Republican or Democrat, but hey, you want to make yourself stand out? You got to fight dirty. And the Biden administration is completely dirty. So you got to fight dirty with them.
Yeah, I think that's the reason a little bit of his appeal to those black people, to those that are black and kind of from the street, or even those that live the street life. You don't got to be black. That appeal is because he talks out of he doesn't stay within the bounds of polite talk and discussion. And that can be, people say that about us, that can be appealing to some people. But anyway, here's a clip that gives an explanation to the question, because they're saying, like, how can the prosecution and the defense be on such opposite, not the same footing, on the same ground? How? And the guy's like I don't understand. I've never seen this before. This guy gives an explanation, because now, if you worked out a under the table deal, Kit, and now you're at the official place, and now you're in front of the official place person, you can't talk about the under the table deal. You get what I'm saying? You can't talk about it in court. So let's see what this guy says, and then I'll let you comment. Let's see what this guy says. I think you get it.
No, it's funny because, like, Wink, come on, what about the thing? What thing you're talking about? Shut up! Don't you say the quiet part loud.
Yeah, so that's why it's like, wait a minute, is Farrah covered? No. What do you mean it's not? I thought it was. That's why they cannot be on page. I mean, you mean to tell me that charge, as huge as that charge is, you're not going to talk about that? I don't believe it. So, but this guy gives us an explanation.
Plea deal blow up mean to you today, Brett?
Jesse, thanks for having me on. I'll tell you, the first thought I had was deception and arrogance on both sides. You saw the arrogance and the deception on Hunter Biden's team in attempting to try to, remove something from the record that might be damaging by pretending to be associated with the congressional oversight hearing and the evidence that came out. You had the arrogance and the deception of the prosecutor. I think they got caught, Jesse. I think there were two plea deals in this case. I think there was the one on paper, and there was the one that they had worked out and done verbally, where the prosecutor had said, look, this will be the end of it. We'll just do this, plead to this. He'll not do any jail time, and we'll be done. And what got...
You get what he's saying? There's two plea deals. There's the one on paper, which doesn't cover things on purpose, because the one off paper, under the table, aka under the table, is the real one. And that's called corruption. Because the reason it's not covered explicitly in the documentation, because a judge will be like, what the hell is this? This can't be in here. This shit can't cover this shit over here. They would so they would just hope that it doesn't come up, that the judge doesn't bring it up. The judge doesn't go through her checklist of things. You get what I'm saying? And but they've already agreed under the table. Yeah, this will be it. We're not going to be bringing any more charges, okay? But we can't put that in the document, of course. So we got our deal here, and that's how we're going to leave it. That's pretty much what this guy is saying, and I think that makes sense, Kit. Go ahead.
Well, I think there's really nothing more I could really add to this, save for the fact that, again, when there's a deal that's made quiet under the table, like you described it perfectly, I think there was that assumption of, okay, everyone's going to play along, but as soon as the cameras are on, as soon as the tape recordings are happening, as soon as everything's happening, you have to realize that in order to keep the image of rule of law, you can't have something that out there exposed, and then at the same time too, not dot all your I's and cross all your T's. So now this is the quandary that the Hunter Biden legal team is in. They're being called out for the fact that, yes, there is corruption, but think about this too, for a bigger picture. How many other political families, be it at the state level across the country or at the federal level, how many political families who've had their own fair share of scandals worked out some kind of deal like this for their loved ones or for themselves in turn, because they knew how to, play around with the system? We just finally saw firsthand what's being done for the social elite, the people who make the decisions, the people who come from the dynastic political families. That's how it's done. There is no justice in the land. There is no republic. The people don't have proper representation because the criminals are running the show. That's what's happening, and we see it. It's out there, and there's no denying it. And if you think that Republicans or other Democratic politicians are different, no, they're just the same. They just know how to keep it a little bit more quiet. That's how we could break it down.
Absolutely spot on. This is Face the Nation, and their guest talks about what happened to the plea deal too.
The U.S. attorney in Delaware, as we know, for 5 years has been investigating Hunter Biden, the son of the president. This has been wide-ranging, but the deal came down to 2 tax charges and a diversion agreement related to a gun charge. What happened in that courtroom this week that made the judge hit the brakes?
Well, I was inside that courtroom, Margaret, just sitting about 20 feet behind Hunter Biden during that 3-hour hearing. The simple explanation is that the federal judge is always handling plea agreements. They're very familiar documents to her. And when this one hit her desk, she said, hold on a minute. This is not a standard agreement. These are different terms than what I'm used to. And when she pulled that thread, what she found out is that there was no agreement between the defense and the prosecution over whether this deal would shut down the prospect of any future criminal charges. And that is really when the whole thing went off the rails.
And now we know in 30 days' time,
Correct.
They will have to reconvene in regard to this agreement. So it could come together?
It could come together. What I would say, being inside that courtroom for 3 hours, is that the two sides now have an opportunity to answer her questions and sort of renegotiate the language in this plea. But as one former federal prosecutor said to CBS News, what happened in that courtroom was a train wreck. And based on the judge's line of questioning, I think that these could be big gaps to bridge. And the bar may be even higher with this federal judge to get her approval.
It's funny when it happens to them.
Yeah, I mean, because it gives so much fire or wood for a fire in the GOP fire of this is 2-tier justice system that's going on. It gives fire to that because the judge is only questioning this because this is such an unusual deal that these high-priced lawyers are missing this big glaring issue about this plea deal, and nobody believes that it's happenstance. At least I don't believe that it's happenstance. These are some of the most high-priced. You're talking about lawyers that are like $2,000 an hour, sir. You're talking about the most high-priced lawyers that in existence. These are the people that they're able to hire, but they both forget this to cover this in this plea deal. Get the fuck out of here. No one believes that. And I do want to play one final clip as to what can be an explanation. Dan Goldman used to be on MSNBC. Then he ran for office and he won. He ran for office. He ran in a district where there was 2 progressives running. They split the vote and he won. I think in New York, somewhere in New York. So, but some reason he is the lawyer for. Is he the lawyer for? I'll just play the clip. He's the lawyer for Hunter Biden because he's here representing, answering questions. And let me play the video as soon as it comes up. There it goes. And this is This Week. The show is called This Week with George Stephanopoulos, but it's a sub that's filling in as the host. I forget his name, but
by the way, just so y'all know, George Snuffleupagus or George Stephanopoulos. Yeah, you used to be part of the Clinton administration.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how all of corporate media is intertwined? And ABC News, which is also owned by Disney, and made Disney burn to the ground. But that's me being petty for other reasons. But there you go.
But think about that. That's the ruling class saying, we don't trust regular people. You guys go get jobs as our mouthpieces in these news organizations, in these cable news outlets, in these national news outlets, you guys go get the position so that we feel secure that the right message will always be filtered through. That's essentially what was going on. But let's listen to this here. This is Rep. Dan Goldman, and let me see. Does it say? Listen to the interview.
Major development this week involving Hunter Biden. Were you surprised to see the judge in Delaware reject the plea deal? Not reject it, but not accept it?
Well, right. I think that there's been a lot of hay made of this, but this is a fairly typical process that goes through. This was an unusual agreement, in part because it's a 24-month agreement, and there's the possibility that Donald Trump will be president. And we know from his presidency how much he weaponized the Department of Justice to go after his enemies and to favor his associates. And so Hunter Biden's lawyers are concerned that Donald Trump, if he were to get the presidency, would weaponize the Department of Justice. And so there is an added.
Do you mean he would actually prosecute effectively instead of this sweet hard deal? And I wonder if that's what the under the table sort of thing was about this. It's a fear of Biden coming in and then using Hunter sort of as a political pawn in prosecuting him, even if it's for legal crimes. And that's the thing. That's the same thing that Trump is being prosecuted. These are actual crimes he did, but that's not the question, and doesn't not make it fascism. Because all of these ruling class people are committing crimes. What makes it fascism, in that is you're trying to jail your political opponent, is you're cherry picking crimes. There's all of them bastards are committing crimes. So you're cherry picking, but it's curious to me, and I'll bring it back here and let you comment. It's curious to me that Dan Goldman is trying to make the point that somehow Hunter Biden's lawyer is afraid that when Trump gets in, so they want to make sure he's immunized. But he is not speaking to the point of why is it not included in the plea deal if that's the case. But go ahead. It's not like you were going to.
Well, you know, like especially even the great impeachment trial, the two impeachments that Trump had to deal with. Okay, yeah, so Trump was impeached. The Senate's is the jury. Okay, it didn't go to the Senate, right? And then finally, look, if they really wanted to go after Trump, they could have gone the moment's clause. I know it's a little bit something different, but it's not connected to Hunter Biden, but somewhat is, because if they really wanted to jail Trump, if they really wanted to get him, they could have got him on a whole bunch of other things. But the problem is it would have also shined a light on these Democratic and Republican lawmakers in the Senate and the House. And so this whole thing with Hunter Biden's plea deal unraveling, what we're seeing is a little bit of difference of what's happening to Trump and also what's happening to Biden. See, Trump is viewed as a true political threat to Joe Biden's potential second term, as he is, again, probably more popular. If the election were handled now, I could see Trump systematically winning against Biden. It would not be an overall landslide, but he would have enough support
I can see that
to maintain a victory and win over the Electoral College. But with Hunter Biden right now, I mean, this is plutonium, and there is nothing that Joe Biden can really do because, again, as you point out earlier in the segment, the quiet part has already been said out loud. We saw the corruption. We saw that there was an inside deal. We saw that there's a game being played. And now they're right back to square one. And this is political dynamite for all of Biden's opponents, be they Democrat, Republican, or independent. And the media really can't spin it. I mean, they could try. They could try and maybe give some copium. They could give some copium to vote blue no matter who. But the thing about copium is that, you know, you're coping with reality. Maybe I could have come with a better joke. Okay. All right.
No, that was fine. Let's see. Is there more? Yeah, there's more in this clip. Let's play a little more of this interview.
Added calculation to this, but the fact of the matter is that this is a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, a Trump-appointed judge. This is a very
when they use this. What do you mean it's not fair? It's Trump appointed. When they use this Trump appointed, it's so ridiculous because let me give you an analogy. If I have a company or if I'm a manager of a company and I hire you, Kit, I'm the one who appointed you, right? So you're a CJ appointed employee, technically.
As I should be.
I get fired. There's a new manager that replaces you. Now it's a different boss. Why are they still saying that's a CJ appointed lawyer? You have a different boss that can be giving you different direction. Who cares if it was a Trump appointed whatever? Who cares? That's my point. It's still rolling up to a different AG who is now not Trump. Go ahead.
What is the reason why they say it is because, one, it's a political football, it's a political game. Oh, that's a Trump guy. So if things go bad, it's because that guy was appointed by Trump. It's a way to divide your enemies. It's a way to have people still go after each other because, oh, that Trump appointed attorney general or that Trump appointed judge is the reason why we didn't have a victory. It's because of Trump. It's easy propaganda. And again, what do the Democrats like to do? Fear and fundraising.
Yes.
Fundraising and fear. Oh no, we don't want any more Trump appointed judges. So give us your last $5 and you might get some health care, Jack.
Give us your last $5. That's so true. But let's listen to Dan Goldman some more.
Independent and thorough investigation. And I think that whatever happens in the Hunter Biden case.
And Dan Goldman is a story of white privilege also, because he is actually the heir. I forget to what company, but he's the heir of some, grand company. That's who Dan Goldman is.
We can rest assured that it was done based solely on the facts and the evidence, and that there was nothing else to it.
But if you, and you've kind of touched on why this was in there, but the line in the plea agreement that is most important and most controversial is this one. It says the United States agrees not to criminally prosecute Hunter Biden, outside of the terms of this agreement or any federal crimes encompassed by the attached statement of facts. Now, the attached statement of facts goes into all of his foreign income that he received. It's the center of what Republicans have been talking about, from Russia, from China, from Romania. Was that too broad? I mean, to have basically a blanket immunity from anything related to all of that income?
This is a good question.
No, because that's what they've been investigating for 5 years. And they ultimately determined they could not charge him. And for whatever reason, we don't know. The House Republicans have no idea what the actual evidence is that David Weiss has. And this was an exhaustive 5-year investigation. And so what Hunter Biden's lawyer wanted was some confirmation that they will not charge him for any crimes related to the investigation that they underwent. That's fairly typical, and oftentimes prosecutors and defense lawyers go back and forth about what degree of immunity.
What he's trying to pretend as if these misdemeanor tax charges, pleading guilty to that, this plea deal that would absolve him of these these much larger felony federal offenses is absurd. He's trying to pretend like, oh, this is how it always goes, and he's a damn lie, and it's crazy. But let me tell you who he is. He is the Levi Strauss. You got some Levi's, right? Everybody got some pair or had some at some point. He is the Levi Strauss. Let me show you. He is the heir to. Oops. Just so I can prove that I'm not making this up, let's throw up this headline just to show who he is. This is who Dan Goldman is. Levi Strauss heir. So, the Levi's, the jean company, he is the heir to that. If you think that has no significance in his position and him being in where he's at, I have some booger sugar to sell you.
Good. I can use a pick me up. I need to get focused here, man. Gotta get focused, man. Or act like Hunter on the 4th of July, because I swear to God, I know it's off subject, but the way he was just moving and all twitching around, I've seen that kind of behavior before.
Yeah.
He was having withdrawal. I mean, again, how is it that white substance powder got in the White House? How did it get there? Oh, Secret Service. We don't know. We concluded we just don't know. It's come on, man. I mean,
I don't believe it.
I don't. Oh, and no one should. It's like, come on, you know who it is. They probably have a video camera of Hunter, like, just goofing around and just dropping it somewhere. I shouldn't implicate Hunter, but I mean, he is suspect number one.